Welcome to the Great British Crochet Off Technical Version, a series where I chat over the technical aspects of this week's episode of the Great British Crochet Off, a series where I watch an episode of the Great British Bake Off and then crochet something that inspires me from it. We are currently covering Series 5, and this is week 1, Cake Week, and I made this little miniature cake bunting garland. So let's go back in time and see how we got here. So as always, I just finished watching this week's episode, which was Series 5, Episode 1, Cake Week. And usually I would go with the Swiss roll challenge, but the mini cakes kind of captured my imagination. And I was trying to think like, okay, what can I turn the mini cakes into? And then I remembered I think it was pastry week in the first series that I did, I wanted to make like little pie bunting, but I made the pies too big. They would not have been very good bunting, very good like pie garland, pie bunting. So I'm gonna try and do that with mini cakes. And I've already decided on 3 cakes and 1 shape. So I'm gonna make 3 of each cake. I'm gonna do like kind of a Victoria sponge style cake. And then I'm gonna do like Mary Berry's cherry cake, which was the technical for this episode. So I thought that'd be a nice like tie-in callback. And then I'm gonna do like a chocolate Battenberg cake. This way I can do 3 different colors of cake, so they'll contrast each other nicely. And then I thought I would also just do some cute little hearts, just to break it up a little bit and have like some nice solid color to break up all the cakes. So that was a lot of talking about cakes. Let's get started on crocheting. So here are 3 cakes, and I know I usually like chat through them as I figure them out and make them, but as you can see, they're pretty simple, so they came together really quickly. So let me show you guys how I make each one. So let's start with the Victoria sandwich. As you can see, it's 1 piece, and then there is some beadwork at the top. So first you're going to make yourself this little circle, and then you're going to make a line of single crochets on the back loop to flip your edge up and do 3 more rows of single crochets to build up the side of your cake. You're going to switch to your red yarn and do a row of half double crochets on the back loop so you get this nice clean line, and then switch to your cream color. And then with the white yarn, you're going to do single crochets and then a puff stitch and then a single crochet and then a puff stitch, and repeat that all the way around so you have your little cream poking out. So then you're going to switch back to the tan, make a row of single crochets on the back loop. So once again, you have a nice kind of a cleaner line, and then 3 more rows of single crochets, and that's the base of the cake. And then you're going to make a little top. So there's your circle for the top, and now you're going to bead it with some white beads, optionally. You're going to stuff it and sew these 2 seams together, and you're going to have your little cake. So next we're going to work on Mary Berry's cherry cake, and I did this with the toffee colored yarn just because I wanted it to contrast with the other cake. So we're going to start with the top of it. So first you're going to make this funny little funnel shape, and this is going to be the top of your cake. You basically just cave the middle in, and there you go, bundt cake. And then for the frosting, for the icing on top, I kind of went on the easier side of things, and I kind of just made these little fried eggs of white felt. You could totally crochet something, but I was pretty happy with this. I cut a hole in it, and then I cut just a couple of little cuts into the sides and stretched them out so it would fit into the middle. And then you're going to glue that felt piece down. Make sure you're only gluing around the very edges, because I promise you, trying to fit a thin needle through hardened glue is about as much fun as it sounds like. So just try and get around the edges. And then you are going to I seed beaded the top. You could also just do like little flecks of yarn sewn through, but I wanted to get the like almond and cherries on top. And then you're going to sew the middles together and the outsides together, and you have your little Mary Berry bundt, or quite frankly, cake donut. The last one that I'm doing is this slice of Battenberg cake, covered with sprinkles on the outside, of course. You are going to start this by chaining 6 in your first color and then 7 in your second color, trying to get it in focus. And then you are going to work 7 rows of single crochets, and switching back and forth the color when you come across that color. So right in the middle, you're going to switch to either color, if that makes sense. So you can get this kind of checkerboard pattern. And so that's 7 rows of that. So then once you've worked 7 rows and you have a kind of a block on each side, you are going to switch the side that your colors are on. So the cream will be on this side and the chocolate color will be on this side. So there is your little checkerboard, and through the magic of television, you're going to have made yourself a second identical one. And how many ends you weave in of these, that's between you and your God. If you just weave through that middle end and sew the rest into the edge, I'm not going to tell anyone. Violet might, I guess. And then you're going to chain 49 stitches, and you are going to do 4 rows of single crochets to get the side of your cake here. Excuse the chaotic sounds of Legos in the background, but what you're going to do next is sew this strip of crochet around the edge of here and sew the ends together so you have a little box. And then you are going to sew your other one in the exact same way on the other side, and about part of the way through we'll stuff it. So there you have it, and the last thing I'm going to do is put some of my seed beading on the outside. And honestly, the main reason I did this was to tie all the pieces together so they kind of all had a little bit of fun beading on them. So I finished my last little Battenberg cake slice here with our beading, and then I made 2 of these little hearts, and I'm not even going to share the pattern for these unless someone's really curious, because they're just a really basic heart, and they're probably not even the best heart pattern ever. But what we're going to do is we are going to go cake, 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 heart, cake, 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 heart, cake, cake, cake. So that, if you can imagine that all on one string. So now I'm going to pick out a string color, and we are going to basically just chain these on. And there we have them on their string and all finished. I'll probably end up re-hanging these later because it's a little bit chaotic compared to what I wanted, but they are super cute.